If you're in deportation proceedings right now, there's like a 90% chance that you've already lost your case and you don't even know it. I'm Jayson DiMaria, and I've been defending people from deportation for over 20 years now. I've really seen thousands of cases, and I could tell you that most people walking into the immigration court, they're actually making critical mistakes that guarantee they're gonna be separated from their families. Just last month, I had a client who came to me who thought his case was gonna go great. He thought it was going good, but his previous attorney had told him everything's fine. But when I looked at the file, I actually found 3 deadly signs he was really gonna lose everything. We were able to turn it around for him. He hired us. We actually got him his green card, but most people aren't this lucky. And the truth is 99% of people who are in deportation proceedings, they're actually making at least one of these critical 5 mistakes right now. And if you don't catch them in time, you really could be on a plane going back to your country in just a matter of months. You could actually even be separated from your family forever. In the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna show you exactly what these 5 warning signs are, so you could actually check on your own case right now. I'm on a mission to help families stay together, and I've seen too many cases where people lost their cases where they should have actually won their cases. If you recognize even one of these signs in your case, you really need to take action immediately. So let's dive right in. The first sign you've already lost is you missed your first hearing. I don't care what the reason was. You were sick, you didn't get the notice, you had to work. The judge honestly really doesn't care. When you don't show up for that first hearing, the judge issues what's called an in absentia removal order. That means you've actually already been ordered deported, even without having the opportunity to tell your story. But missing court is just the beginning. There's something even worse that actually happens to people every single day. And it's so common that I see it in my office probably at least 3 times a week. The second sign is if you hired a notary. Some people in the Spanish community, they refer to them as notarias, or someone who isn't a real lawyer to handle their case. Let me be crystal clear about this. Notaries are not lawyers. I know in some countries, they consider them to be like lawyers, but they're not lawyers in the United States. It's totally different. They cannot represent you in the immigration court, but they'll take your money, they file wrong paperwork, and they disappear when things go wrong. They don't have any malpractice insurance. There's no way to go after them. You basically lose all that money and you really have no recourse against them. I actually had a client who paid a notary $5,000 to help win an asylum case. This notary basically filed a form that actually made my client ineligible for asylum. There was incorrect information on it, everything. By the time the client came to me, it was actually too late and the damage was already done. Because once you sign this paperwork, that's your testimony. But even if you got a real lawyer, right, there's actually still a chance that a mistake was made, that 90% of people make, that actually destroys their case before it even starts. So if you're facing deportation and you're worried you might have already lost your case, don't wait right now. Just call my office. My number is 973-934-5854. We offer same-day consultations for just $50. I know a lot of attorneys are charging way more than $50, but we want to make it affordable, give everybody an opportunity to talk to us about their case. And I guarantee you, we'll talk about your case today. So the link is in the description below. The third sign that you've already lost your case is if you lie to immigration, even about something small. Sometimes people think, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I could say this. But listen, even if it's something small, and I'm not just talking about big lies, I'm talking about any lie, no matter how insignificant you think it was. So here's what happens. You're at the border, at an immigration interview, and the officer asks you a question. Maybe you panic, maybe you're scared, so you give an answer that's not completely true, right? You think it's no big deal, just a small lie to avoid trouble, but immigration keeps records of everything. Every interview, every form you ever filled out, every answer you ever give is actually recorded. It's in the database. And when you get to court, the government attorney is gonna have a complete file of everything. They have your visa you entered with, they have every single document that you have filed. And they're gonna compare what you said 5, 10, 15 years ago to what you're saying now. And if there's any inconsistency at all, they're going to use it to destroy your credibility, and it may even make you ineligible for an application for relief that you're filing. So I've seen people actually lose winnable cases because they lied about something as simple as that, how many times they've been married. I've seen a situation, somebody lied on a visa application to come here to the country. They said that they were still married in their country and they weren't, and it turned out to be a big issue later. But here's the even more devastating mistake that people make And it happens because they're trying to be helpful. The fourth sign is if you admitted to something that makes you deportable without understanding what you were admitting to. It happens all the time with criminal cases. Let me give you an example. You get arrested for shoplifting. Your criminal lawyer tells you, hey, plead guilty to this, you'll get probation instead of jail time, probably won't affect the immigration. It sounds good, right? But what your criminal lawyer didn't tell you is that shoplifting could be considered a crime involving moral turpitude under the immigration law. See, this guilty plea that actually you thought was going to help you, although it may have helped you in the criminal case, you got it resolved quicker, you don't go to jail. But guess what? Now you're deportable from the country. Or maybe you got arrested for domestic violence. Say you didn't want to go to trial, you didn't want to plead guilty, but you plead guilty to a lesser charge. But under immigration law, sometimes lesser charges could actually be considered a crime of domestic violence. And that could make you deportable. You wouldn't be eligible for most forms of relief. So it's important in going through those cases to make sure you don't plead guilty to something that would affect your immigration status. But here's the thing that's gonna shock you. Even you've never been arrested, never committed a crime, there's actually still one mistake that could end your case before you even walk into the immigration courtroom. The fifth and most devastating sign is if you've waited too long to apply for relief. Immigration law has strict deadlines. Say if you miss a deadline, you're actually done. There's no forgiveness. You have to pay application fees all over. So many times we get people, same situation, mistake, gotta pay application fees, gotta pay lawyer fees. Say for asylum, right? You have to apply within 1 year of arriving in the United States. Strict deadline. If you miss that deadline, you're gonna be barred from asylum unless you could prove change of circumstances in your country, extraordinary circumstances. It's hard to get by. Cancellation or removal. You got to show you've been here for 10 years of continuous presence in the United States. But if you traveled outside the country for more than 90 days at a time, or if you committed certain crimes, that clock stops or resets. I had a client who has been in the United States for like 15 years, had US citizen children, owned a business, was a pillar in his community. But he had taken a trip back to his home. It lasted about 4 months. That trip actually reset his 10-year clock and he no longer qualified for cancellation or removal. So if you're sitting here, you're thinking like, oh no, I've made a mistake. I made one of these mistakes. Don't panic yet because there's something I haven't told you, something that could actually change everything right now. Here's what the government doesn't want you to know. Even if you've made one of these mistakes, even if your case is hopeless, there might still be some options, but you need to know what they are and you need to act fast. If you missed your court hearing and you have an in absentia order of removal, you actually might be able to file a motion to reopen, but you have to do it within 180 days of the order and you have to prove you didn't get proper notice of the hearing or there was an exceptional circumstances beyond your control. Now, certain orders of removal, if you never got the notice, we could file those at any time. You're not subject to the 180-day time frame, so you may have options available. I've actually successfully reopened cases for clients who never received their hearing notices because they actually moved and didn't update their address with the court. But in those situations, there was a loophole. So sometimes there are situations where we can get them reopened. I reopened actually a case just recently for a client who was hospitalized during their hearing. That case is pending right now. But the key is you have to act quickly and you have to have the right evidence. But what if it's been more than 180 days? What if years have passed since your order of removal? There's actually still hope, but it may require a different strategy. So if you have new evidence or if the law has changed in your favor, you actually might be able to file a motion to reopen based on these changed circumstances or this change in the law. It is a little more difficult, but it's possible. For example, if say you're from a country where conditions may have deteriorated or changed significantly since your case was decided, you might be able to actually reopen based on the changed country circumstances in your native country. Or say if you've been a victim of a crime and you're now eligible for a U visa, that could actually be grounds to possibly reopen your case. And here's something that might surprise you. Even if you can't reopen your case in immigration court, there actually may be other options that are available to you to protect you from deportation. You might be eligible for other forms of relief that you don't even know about. Maybe you qualify for a U visa as a victim of a crime. Maybe you're eligible for VAWA protection as a victim of domestic violence. Maybe there's been a change in the law that creates new opportunities for relief. I recently actually had a client who had been ordered deported over 10 years ago. He thought his case was over, but it turned out he was eligible for protection under the Convention Against Torture because he would face persecution in his country that he were to return to now. We were able to file a new application and stop his deportation. But here's the thing, time is not on your side. Every day you wait, your options become more limited. Every day you wait, ICE could show up at your door at any time. The immigration system is actually designed to be very confusing. It's probably the most confusing area of law that we practice. But you don't have to face this alone. I've been fighting deportation cases for over 20 years now. I've seen people in the worst situations find a way to stay with their families forever here in the United States. I've seen cases that seemed hopeless turn into complete victory. When we started, I would have said, oh, there's maybe a 5-10% chance to win their case, and we wound up winning over time, because sometimes time heals everything. I've seen families torn apart because they didn't get the right help at the right time. Don't let that be you. I don't want you to be in that situation I've seen other people in. So if you're facing deportation right now, you got a family member, you know someone. If you think you might have already even lost your case, just call my office right now. We offer the same day consultation fee, $50 for the consult. It's less than most lawyers charge just to talk to you. You can call 973-934-5854 right now. Don't wait, we're gonna talk to you right away. Your family's future is dependent on it. Again, the number is 973-934-5854. Remember, 20 years of doing this, I've worked and I've learned that it's never too late to fight. But the longer you wait, the harder the fight becomes. Check out this other video that I did. Right now, you could watch this video on how immigration has been raiding communities, and they've actually changed their strategy to basically keep everyone in jail under mandatory custody right now without a chance for bail, having to do their case in jail the entire time. You need to be aware of what's going on. Click on this video, take a look. It's super important to see what's going on right now so that you're not facing what these people are facing.